Welcome back to the Fighters Corner podcast. With me is
Mike Davis.
Mike. Today we had a very important guest who has a long, big, extensive history with the UFC and probably one of the top judoka in MMA and probably the pound for pound for judoka in the UFC, number one.
I agree. And, about 10 days ago, you had asked me, give me a list of guys, that pique your interest in regards to interviewing. And the first person that came out of my mouth was Karo Parisyan.
Yeah.
So, I was really glad to make that happen.
He doesn't really do a lot of interviews, too, from my understanding. I know
he's
got
an
his
intense guy.
Yeah, he is, and there was a lot of questions that we wanted to ask, and we got him out.
Well, what really helped was that he and I had a prior connection, before he went to the UFC, and he understood that, and it kind of got us a foot in the door. And on top of that, we're independent commentary. Obviously we're not journalists, so YouTube de-ranks people like us. So, like, if you're a listener and you like what you're hearing, if you could just throw us a like, a share, subscribe, anything, even if you don't like it, throw us a thumb down, whatever. If you could do that, man, it actually helps with the algorithm and spreads the word for us.
Sure, helps us grow too.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, please enjoy the interview.
Thanks. So who are you taking in this weekend's fights? I know who I got, and it's not who you think. So I'm going to take my picks over to the world's safest and most trusted online gambling site and make a few bets. That's right, it's BetDSI.com. With more than 20 years' experience in the online gaming industry, BetDSI has the best sign-up and deposit promotions on the web. They also boast more deposit options than any other betting site, including fast, free, and secure payouts. Also, for our listeners, they are offering a special promotion where you can build a bigger bankroll and get 100% sports cash bonus when using our promo code Fighters Corner, all one word. That's 50% more sports cash by using our promo code Fighters Corner. Check out BetDSI for all your online gaming needs. Also, please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, share, all because you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Radio Player, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, and the guy sitting next to you on the train is probably listening to us too. And if you can, show us your support by finding us on Patreon, where you can let us know how much you love us. And if you're a fan of boxing, jiu-jitsu, kumite, and even capoeira, go check out my guys at UCL MMA. These guys are the heavyweight champions of mixed martial arts shows. And if you think you're the next Johnny Lawrence, go to their website at uclmma.com, shoot them an email and tell them John sent you before asking their matchmaker that you want to defend your All-Valley Karate Championship versus one of their fighters. That's uclmma.com. Welcome back to the Fighters Corner podcast. Today we have a special guest. Mike, if I were to tell you to give me a top 10... No.
That's Karo Parisyan. Is it, I guess?
Welcome to the show, Karo Parisyan.
Hi, how you guys doing, man?
So Karo, I met you years ago, actually. And I met your coach, Goker, and you were with Team Hayastan. What hooked you two up together? Like, when did you start training with him, and how did that culminate?
With Joker?
Yes.
Well, okay. I was 8 years old, and my cousins came over to the house, just whatever. And I had a cousin that's 6, and he started talking like he can kick my butt and all that stuff. And so I'm like, what do you mean? Okay, I train. Oh, I want to train too, blah, blah, blah. So I start, literally the next week, his dad picked me up also and took me to LACC, which is Los Angeles Community College. And Gokar was teaching over there at the time. And he had just opened up the school as far as, having a class and stuff. So he had 15 students, not even. And I just joined, man. I saw the first time I went to watch, so I started watching. I was like, man, this is easy. I can do this, right? And it was Judo. Oh, you stupid fucking... Sorry, man. I'm not driving, this stupid broad. Anyway.
Edit.
Say again? What?
No, go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's it, man. I just started training, and I remember Gokar telling my dad, literally 2 years later, he was like, man, he opened up like a flower. He opened it up so quick. which I was like, okay, great. Because judo, when I was watching, I was like, I can do all this stuff. But then again, I was just a kid. I didn't know what the hell I was doing or talking about. But, it worked out. I was able to do it. And thank God,
Did you wrestle? Did you wrestle in high school?
No, my high school shit. The high schools I went to, bro, had no wrestling. I went to every LA school fucking district kicked me out. So it's not like I had too many. Eventually I get home studies and stuff and finished like that. But no, man, the high schools I went to, none of them had a wrestling team. I wish they did. But then again, I didn't want to get into wrestling too much. I wrestled when I was a kid too, but I never got into it.
Yeah, so like, when the UFC was taking over the country, and it was Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and all you heard was this amazing art from Brazil, and then this judo studio out of California started producing people that started winning these jiu-jitsu tournaments, and it was like, oh no, jiu-jitsu works. It's phenomenal. It's a great tool to have, but it's not your only tool. And did you notice like a lot of issues when you get into these grappling tournaments because you're not from a traditional jiu-jitsu school?
Well, the issues were, oh, you can't do leg lock. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't grip like that. Those were the issues. One dude, you have to understand, man, I was 14 years old, 15 years old, going against freaking men. And these guys can't fucking digest that. They can't swallow that, getting their ass kicked from a 14-year-old kid. Me and my cousin Manny too. He's older than me a year and a half, but he was also, in that whole freaking drama shit, But with that being said, man, I don't know, man. Jiu-jitsu, the arm bars and the chokes and all that stuff. Dude, we were doing that since we were 5 years old in judo. It wasn't like, oh, jiu-jitsu, this is what this is. No, that's judo. Yeah. And we do that arm bar, we do that triangle, we do all those chokes. No, that's judo. That's not jiu-jitsu, but it is jiu-jitsu now. It's the sport of jiu-jitsu, and it came easy to us, man. I mean, not easy, but it came natural because of judo for so many years. And newaza, which is, it means in Japanese, newaza, ground game. We had newaza all the time. I went to Japan. For morning practice was all stand-up. I would do 15 rounds, man. Out of 15 rounds, I would go 14 rounds nonstop, 5-minute matches every round. And the Japanese don't really like the Americans or our judo, and they would laugh at us because American judo kind of sucks. And, I don't know, man. It was a back and forth thing between American judo and Japanese judo, because Americans, we always wanted to do the Japanese judo, traditional, postured up, really pretty. But I personally come from Gokor. He teaches us from like the Russian style, like Sambo style judo, a lot of leg picks, a lot of fireman's carries and all that kind of stuff. And today there is no such thing. You touch somebody's leg in a judo tournament, you're gone. Now, it's an automatic disqualification.
Jeez. Now, did you feel that? Because I kind of felt the same way, so I'm not trying to lead you down this avenue, but it appeared that once people started catching up to jiu-jitsu in terms of technique or understanding, like you had mentioned, the rules started changing in order to kind of take the advantages away in order to kind of cater towards the Brazilian competitors. Would you agree with that?
Yes, definitely. One of the things was, they would always change rules in order for them. It was more towards them. Whatever they felt comfortable on, they would change the rules within seconds and say, we can do this and we can't do that. Mm-hmm. I remember it was the Joe Moreira Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Either it was the Joe Moreira tournament or it might have been the Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu tournament, big Pan Ams. This is when I'm 14, 15, and me and my cousin Manny, we're like the same age. And I'll never forget, it was like maybe 20 of us, 25 of us, and it was like 300 of them. And I remember Manny was, I think he was in the finals with one of the top guys, and Manny went for a choke. There was a choke we used to do. It was called the Armenian Joke. It was a disgusting crazy, painful choke, man. And I've tapped out countless people with that choke. And Manny did that choke, and what happens is when you have to put your thigh, over the head. It's kind of hard to explain, but you have where you have the lapel, you have to lock it up from the stand up. You get the lapel from stand up. As you're doing judo, you get your grip on the gi. You literally put your leg, like bottom of your foot, on the hip. You lay down, leg goes over. Basically it's a choke. Yeah, I'll have to show it. With that being said, as soon as Manny went for that choke, this guy bit him. Or did something like that. And Manny kind of like kicked him, like when the match was over, he was down by points. And one of these fucking momos jumps up and kicks Manny in the head. I said, "Oh, you motherfuckers." And the rest was, we jumped on one of our guys, dude. One of them took out a knife. The other one, then thank God, Gokar and Hickson Gracie were the ones that ran in between. They calmed all of us down because, bro, you have to understand, we're in a fucking gym in Irvine. I've been to that Irvine University countless times at that nationals and stuff over there. And if we actually got down with them, there's like 300 of them, they would have walked over us. And the bad thing was, I don't even know if there was anybody legitimate over there to pick the phone up and call the cops to say, "Yo, these guys are killing each other," and no one really knows about it, because it's in the stadium. So why don't you guys come and do something about it?
You just mentioned two names, Gokar and Hickson.
Yeah.
Why did those two never fight?
Say that again.
How come those two, in your opinion, never fought?
Well, my opinion, I don't know about my opinion, boss, but I'll tell you what. I remember Gokar saying, they want to fix it up for me to fight Hickson. But you have to understand, bro, if it was an MMA fight, I would have liked to see that fight. Obviously, I have all the confidence in Gokar, man. If Gokar got Hickson's leg, he would have broke like a two. Hickson Gracie is Hickson Gracie, man. The man, like a lot of people say, when I watch Hickson Gracie fight, when I watch Hickson Gracie grapple, it's nothing, oh my God, look at that. He's basic, super basic, but at the same time, if you stick to the basics and you just learn other roads to get to it, it's, it's a perfection, man. He's one of those people that's able to do that. I don't know if I'm getting across, you guys, man. What I'm trying to say is that I've had people say, "Man, he mounted me and all I can move was my eyeballs." Like, you freaking serious, bro? But when you watch his grappling and fighting, he's very tight. Everything he does is like, and that takes years and years. I know Hickson, obviously, and I've seen clips. He's showing clips and stuff where he's at the beach. He's at the beach in the sand, just going to people and freaking challenging them to a fight. And they would fight on the beach. And, like legitimate. If the guy tapped, it was all over. So, Hickson Gracie, man, and Gokar, if they went at it, man, that would have been one incredible fight. Like I said, I still think Gokar would have beaten him. Gokar had one thing that was very, very strong in many ways as far as a different level, it was his leg locks. Gokar comes from the Sambo background, the Russian Sambo, and there's leg locks involved, and they have shoes, man. They put on like wrestling shoes, and if you can leg lock somebody with those shoes, and it was, as much as it was technique, it was also a lot of brute strength. A lot of these guys were strong. So if Gokar caught, which I think eventually he would have caught Hickson's leg, he might have just broken it, bro. But at the same time, if Hickson got, Gokar, he might have tapped Gokar. I don't know. Yeah. I never saw Gokar really tap. The only one that tapped Gokar is me. but I never seen the man tap, really.
Okay, so did you ever watch his fight in the WFF against Mr. Maeda, Gokar?
Yeah, I watched the fight. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I watched the fight, bro. Of course, we were there. It was, I knew that was going to happen. I just didn't know Mr. Maeda, who he was. But the guy was a specimen, dude. But I really don't know. I thought he couldn't even speak English, and then when I heard him speak, I was like, oh, okay. The guy is American-Japanese fighter. So, yeah, I saw the fight. I'm sure you guys saw the fight.
Yeah, I was just curious about your opinion of it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's the guy was an absolute specimen.
Not much of an opinion. It was just Gokar. I knew it was going to happen. The guy, he was a stand-up fighter, and Gokar just tied him up. They went on the ground. And he got an armbar.
Okay.
That's the thing about Gokar, man. He had the judo gi on, and he would teach us the same way as, he would do it. Attack from any angle. I can get an armbar from anywhere. I can get an armbar from anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. And that's what you have to know. When you look at a human being, and I look at a human being, man, I see a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. That's opportunity for me.
Okay, so you and I first met, and obviously you've met millions of people, so you wouldn't remember, but we had first met in Belleville, Illinois. Do you have any recollections from fighting down there?
Of course, Belleville. Oh my God, middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah, of course.
Well, that's where it's at. That's where it's at, the middle of nowhere.
So there was a promoter down there. We actually had Chris Lytle on last week, and we had talked about Randy Greenman. Do you remember Randy Greenman?
Yeah, of course I remember. Me and Randy go way, way, way back. Hope not anymore, but yeah, of course I do. Yeah, he stayed at my house. Yeah, I know everything, but you go ahead, tell me.
Yeah, so essentially, like Randy and I were also pretty close, like yourself. And Randy used to call me up, and it was always Gokor. Like,
wait. Who was close with Randy?
I was close with Randy
Mike.
as well. Yeah, he and I would talk.
Cool.
We would talk all the time. And while he was doing his events and stuff. So he would always, we'd be talking shop, this fighter, that fighter. And he'd be like, oh, yeah? Well, Gokar has got a stable of guys, and I'm bringing a few of them down, for the next event. So I think you fought Dave Strasser on that event, and then you tapped him out, and then you fought Sean Sherk twice.
I only fought Sherk. I fought Sean Sherk. The first time I fought Sherk, I was 7. It was still in Belleville, Missouri. Was it Belleville?
It was Belleville, Illinois. Yeah, it was Belleville, Illinois.
Illinois,
5 minutes from Missouri.
I thought it was Belleville. Yeah. So, I remember, dude, it was in a ring, and you guys got to hear this out, all right? Check this out. I am grappling at the gym, all right? Monday night, I am grappling. Gokar gets a call, picks up the phone. He's talking, whatever. We're doing class. He takes on and goes, Karo. I'm like, what? He goes, you want to fight Friday? You beat 2 guys, we'll get $1,500. We'll fly out. Well, I was like, sure. And I turned around, started grappling again. And we ended up going. And, dude, I didn't have a mouthpiece. So for some, I don't know. I had nothing. And I remember they went to thrifty stores. It was like they had this store, man. Well, they bought a mouthpiece. They had to buy a mouthpiece from some, like a sports chalet store, where Gokar had to get his pocket knife out and cut the freaking sides because it was so big. It looked like I had a potato in my freaking mouth, and right on the little hole where I breathed from that. Apparently, I don't know what the fuck I was supposed to breathe.
Yeah, probably for a football player.
And, yeah. There you go. Well, I had that in my mouth, and dude, are you kidding me? I'll never forget. I was sitting there, and everybody's smoking cigarettes. Right above the ring is just smoke, and when you see the lights hitting it, you can actually see not the silhouette, but you can actually see the smoke, right? And I was like, bro, seriously? Go tell these people to stop smoking.
It was like in a barn.
Courtesy for the fucking fighters.
Yeah, it was in a barn.
Fight.
A courtesy for the fighters. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else they're going to come out and get mad. So I ended up fighting Sherk, man, and we went to overtime. If you look at the overtime, I clearly destroyed him in the overtime. I cut him. Dude, let's put it this way. They went to a decision. Apparently, I won the overtime clearly. They ended up giving a split decision to Sean Sherk, and Sean Sherk was supposed to continue the tournament, right? Well, when the fight was over, Sean Sherk was in the back, laying down with ice all over his face and body. It was just packs of ice all over his face and his body. And I was sitting outside having a beer with, situations, all that shit. With that being said, man, he couldn't continue. So Randy Greenman walks in and says, to Chris Brennan. Sean Sherk was supposed to fight Chris Brennan. And he says, yo, Chris, Sean's out. He can't continue. That makes Karo the winner. You got to fight Karo. Or you can get a pay cut. He goes, I want a pay cut. I don't want to fight Karo. So he got a pay. That's what Randy told me. He told me a few times because I didn't want to believe him in the beginning. I was like, no, man, Chris is a tough guy. And he's like, no, that's what he said. And then
told me
I
that
met
too.
Chris and he said that same thing.
Yeah, he told me, and not only did he tell me that, I witnessed several arguments about that fight, obviously behind your back, and Randy would be like, whether it was Jeff Osborne or Bob Long or one of those guys that was heavily involved in the show, they would say, well, we counted the takedowns. Sean Sherk took Karo Parisyan down 37 times. I remember that number specifically because Randy would always say that to me. 37 times that he got taken down, and Randy would respond, well, Karo Parisyan got up 37 times. So,
is that what he said?
Yeah, so like, all right, so how effective is a takedown if you can't keep a guy down?
Hang on a second. Who gave those fucking stupid stats? Which moron and Momo said that? Tell me that.
Hey, all I know is this. It was a very beginning portion, like part of MMA. This was like before.
No, that's fine. I just want to know who counted 30. I got the fight at the house, and do you know the fight that?
His name's Marco Goroski. He's the one that gave me those stats. He's sitting right here with me. No, I mean, I'm recalling conversations that took place 10 years ago because Randy would always just, he got up. How good is a takedown as compared to somebody that gets up off the ground?
Yeah.
And he's right. I mean, you couldn't argue that fact.
It doesn't make sense, though. Okay, check this out. I'm gonna match what you just said, except on a different level. UFC magazine, the first one that came out, I didn't even fucking know. On the bottom, if you watch, most knockouts in history, blah blah blah, Anderson Silva, whatever, shit like that. Heaviest fighter, quickest knockout, career takedowns. Most takedowns, Karo Parisyan career takedowns, more than Matthews and George St. Pierre combined.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, yours were always a lot of upper body
Huh?
takedowns, too. Like, you had, like, a lot of throws and upper body takedowns.
Yeah, this is not a takedown. Let me tell you, there's a difference between a single leg or whatever, and then there's a difference between a throw. Not a trip, a throw. I hate when they say, that was a nice trip. I'm not in fucking elementary school and running down the street and somebody tripping me. We're not tripping here. Mm-hmm. These are without a judo gi. That's very, very hard to do. So with that being said, these were all legitimate skill throws, not specific just takedowns. But I've done that too. But to answer your question is, it's impossible to watch a fight for 18 minutes and see somebody get taken down 37 times. That's a bullshit law, one. Two, it's kind of weird. How does it go to overtime? Why does it go to overtime? Because 15 minutes, if these guys fought, we can't come up with a winner. These guys are so even. Am I right?
100%. And those
so
shows
there's a 3 minute
incredible.
overtime.
Yeah.
If you watch the 3 minutes overtime, it's completely, he's bleeding all over me. Dude, my stomach is all blood. He's just laying on my stomach. And that wasn't even a takedown. I actually threw Sean Sherk with a judo throw, and then we ended up scrambling. He ended up in my guard. That's it. So I don't know what the hell somebody's talking about, man. But
did this all take place in one round, or this was like a 3-round fight? It was all one round, right?
I think it was Judo rules, and I think it was 2
it was
rounds.
A long ass freaking fight. Man, it was like Pride, bro.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We fought for 15. They stopped it.
Right.
They said,
that's exactly it. So you didn't have no corner breaks, no nothing, right? It was just from second 1 to minute 15, you guys going 100%, and then they calling it a draw, and then 3 minutes added on top of that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
After 3 minutes, the fight was over already.
You know what, man? You just, like, brought back a memory, because that was, like... That was at the point where they were still. It wasn't regulated in Illinois, and they were still trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah, that wouldn't fly today at all.
Like the Wild West.
Yeah, that would. Oh my God. Yeah. So okay.
Karo, you mentioning people smoking in that crowd? Was that not one of the roughest crowds you've ever seen in your life?
Say that again.
That audience at the RSF events where you fought Sean Sherk that audience was nuts.
Yeah. Well, a lot of trash, bro. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sound any kind of controversial or racist or anything, but it was just a lot of white trash.
Yeah. Well, that's us.
Yeah,
doing nothing about nothing, man.
I'll vouch for you.
Yeah,
they were white trash.
Okay.
One of those motherfuckers. Yeah, right. Man. I don't even know. See, Randy Greenman was such a nice guy, man. He actually loved the sport. You know, he really cared about the sport. He was a very nice human being, man. You know, it's kind of really, really, really sad and depressing what happened to the man. But with that being said, man, he was a great dude. And, you know, he threw these shows on, man, specifically for us. He loved us, bro.
He would lose money on them.
You know?
Yeah, he would lose money on the shows. He would... Yeah, for those that don't know,
money on the shows, yeah.
Randy essentially...
He would lose money on the shows.
Randy was murdered in 2007, and his killers got brought to
justice
murdered, yeah. In
he
2010.
Was murdered. They found his head somewhere. He was decapitated. I'll never forget that we had people calling and asking, because his best friend was calling and asking, have you talked to Randy? I said, no. Have you seen him? I was like, no, if I haven't talked to him, I haven't seen him either. And he's in St. Louis, and I'm in Cali. But I talk to him every now and then on the phone. Why? And then they said he's missing for a month.
Oh, jeez.
And I already know. I already know something. Because, you know, Randy, man, he was a nice guy. As much of a nice guy he was, at the same time, dude, he had a club. He bought that club for $1 million. You know, there was this one guy that apparently came out of jail, and Randy had a problem with him and all this crap. And the rest is history, man.
Yeah, they all went to jail. Those guys all went to jail for it, as they should. You know, I mean, he was one of my favorite human beings in the MMA industry. Like, he had a ton of money and wasn't afraid to spend it on fights he wanted to see. You know?
Yeah.
No, yeah, he was one very unique white boy. Let me tell you that right now, because he would pay for stuff. I was like, Randy, stop, man! I don't want you to give me money. We're in Vegas. You know, I got my money. I'm gambling. No, Karo, dude, he was one of a kind, dude. Yeah. Greenman. I would laugh so much. He fucking was snoring, sitting down awake. I was like, "Why are you snoring? Your eyes are open, dude." Huh?
Yeah, sleep apnea.
I missed the dude.
Yeah.
He was 400 pounds, 6'6".
Jesus, man.
Great guy, man. You know, this industry, certainly, you come across people that, you know, make an impact on you, and, you know, whether they're in your life a long time or a short time, you never forget them, and Randy certainly falls into that category.
Yeah. So that's what you leave. That's what you leave behind, man. You leave this, you know, I don't want to say God-forsaken, but, you know, you leave this world, man. You don't take anything with you. Back in the time, Egyptians took fucking money, and, you know, everything is dug up now.
Yeah.
You know? But
legacy.
Now,
yeah, it's legacy.
Karo,
nobody.
Karo, I was going to ask you a question. You don't have an amateur MMA career, right? You're one of those fighters, those unique fighters that grew up in the gym and just got thrown right into the pros, right?
Yeah. My first fight, 14. I don't know what amateur is, bro. I fought bare knuckle, 14 years old.
There you go. So,
you know,
in Mexico.
What I would like to do, I'd like to interview your father. What kind of dad throws a 14-year-old into the ring in Mexico? Like, the amount of faith that he had in you must have been must have been incredible.
There's a whole story behind that. But, you know, my father, man, passed away 3 years ago at 2016 on Valentine's Day at 58 years old. It was kind of a touchy thing, man. He died in my arms at the house. It was like an Indian movie. It was like a soap opera.
Yeah,
so it fucked me up pretty bad.
Yeah, I can relate, Karo.
Man, I wish you could have.
Wow, the tools that he gave you, though, you and your brother, you know, it's something that can never be taken away from you, you know?
Yeah, because it's different, man. My father gave me, you know, as much as, let's just say, my father was a musician, and so I wanted to be a musician, too. I played the drums and stuff, and even back then, he was like, dude, are you kidding me? What music? Because Armenian musicians are a little bit different. But, well, you know, with that being said, he gave me the best advice about life. Let's just put it that way, bro. You know, just wisdom shit that really, really took me to the next level. I have everything to thank my father, man. Even
That's good. That's good.
Even about my sport, judo, everything, because I didn't want to train. I didn't want to do shit.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be a kid.
It kept you out of jail, too. You know, I mean, if you're getting kicked out of high school, you kind of need that distraction in order to... you got to eat that time up, you know? I mean, if you're obviously a go-getter, so you got to occupy yourself, and
Gotta hustle.
You in judo. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yep. So, Carl, not too long after the Greenville day or the Belleville days. You didn't get. It wasn't that long until you got your first shot in the UFC. How did that transition happen from the Belleville fights going into the? How'd you get your first fight into the UFC?
Well, when I was 18. Well, 2 years. Well, by a year, I wasn't doing much. I was just doing judo, and I remember I wanted to get back in the game and start fighting again. And they called me and they wanted me to fight a guy named I remember his name, Robert Ferguson. He was a brother. He was a black dude, super cool guy, chiseled, like he was Fernando Vargas's conditioning and diet coach. So I was supposed to fight this guy. He pulled out. I ended up fighting Jason Mayhem, psychopath, fucking idiot Miller, and I annihilated him. Second round, the doctor threw the towel in, saying stop. And then after I fought him, I fought. A month and a half later, I fought Antonio McKee. 25 wins, 1 loss, and all that shit. I beat Antonio McKee's ass. Never took me down once.
That's a hard fight.
I threw him like 15 times. Then it was in the ring.
That's a hard fight.
And then after McKee, I fought Fernando Vasconcelos, 2-time Mundial Jiu-Jitsu world champion. And after I beat Fernando, UFC call. Well, I was home, 7:30 in the morning. Gokor calls me and says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I was actually on a movie set, called Ultraviolet," and then they switched like Resident Evil. Mila Jovovich, whatever that name is. We were on the set of that, and I was getting beat up from this chick. And with that, I remember him calling. I picked up the phone. He said, "Congratulations." I said, "On what?" He said, "The UFC picked you up. They want you to fight." I said, "Oh, okay, cool. That's it." My dad said, "Congratulations. That's a congratulations. You're going to go in the cage and fight at 20 years old. That's a congratulations." I was like, "Yeah." Because, it was never, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I've even told the UFC, it was never like, "Oh, it's my dream to fight in the UFC and all this." No, I wanted to fight in the UFC because when I saw it on TV and when I saw the Abu Dhabi, everybody would look at me like, "Dude, this is right up your alley. Like, why aren't you doing this?" And I was like 16, 17. So I don't know, man. And then they said, "You're fighting in September." UFC 44 was my debut against Dave Strasser, seasoned vet, unbelievable fighter.
Yeah, definitely.
He fought Chris Lytle on the show. He fought Lytle on the show, and they went to a draw. It was a great fight. But with that being said, man, yeah, I went there, and the rest was history. You guys know that.
Your second UFC fight wasn't an easy fight.
Well,
man.
He fought Nick Diaz and Matt Serra.
Well, before that, his second fight in the UFC was against George St. Pierre.
Oh, it's right. He fought GSP.
So
you fought Sean Sherk, GSP, and I know you had Matt Hughes lined up, but like a pullout happened there. Yeah, you fought some real hard guys. Like, you didn't have an easy road.
He didn't have an easy career at all, man. I mean, he fought a lot of top guys, all across the welterweight division.
You guys are here interviewing me. You guys should know all those stats, fuckers.
Hey, we're making sure you know, man.
Yeah, these are trick questions for you.
That's it. I remember. No. It was the St. Pierre fight. It was a majority decision St. Pierre fight. Lost the fight. Won round 1, lost round 2. Third round was close, but I put George in my guard, and I was trying to submit him like an idiot. I don't know why I was trying to do it, because I almost caught him 3-4 different times. Mm-hmm. And I remember third round, his arm popped, man. He ripped. I don't know how to say this, but if somebody opens their arm up and you look at the bend of their arm on the inside, I saw 2 muscles just rip. It just ran back. And George, he was making noise. I just didn't tap. And George said I had enough air in me, Carl. I mean, because I'm friends with George.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And he said I had enough air in my lungs to do a bridge and try to escape. And he did it. And he got in my guard. And I was exhausted. And then after that, bro, I was going insane. I didn't even leave my room for like 2 weeks. I had never got a cut. I had like a 2-stitch cut on my right eyebrow, something small. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, after that, WEC was with the UFC and shit like that. So I went with WEC, Dana White, and they're like, go fight there. Fight Tony Carter. He's the 5-time world champion there. We will have you back, Karo. You're young. Trust me, your future and all this stuff. I said, fine, I'll go fight him. He said, but make sure you beat him. I said, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to try. I'm not going to fucking lose. So I fought Tony Carter. You guys know Tony Carter.
Of course. Yeah, Chicago.
And I took the title from Shoney. I came back after Shoney. Nick Diaz, I just knocked out Robbie Lawler on Fox. I fought Nick. After Nick, I fought Chris Lytle. After Chris Lytle, I fought Matt Serra. Yeah. After Matt Serra, I got the title shot. And then I got injured, came back and fought Nick Thompson, the guy that knocked out Eddie Alvarez in Bulldog and became the champ and sat down and ate with Vladimir Putin, which is ridiculous. And after that, and it was Diego, and then Pickett, and then just it goes on and on, guys. You've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I hope.
Now, you had mentioned that you didn't leave your room for 2 weeks after George St. Pierre's fight. Did you run into post-fight depression a lot after some of your fights?
Well, it wasn't. I mean, obviously, ultimately, you fall into depression. But right now, I'm able to talk to you guys a little bit better, man, because I was driving and there was idiots cutting me off and all that stuff. Now I can kind of collaborate on what I'm saying. I tell you what, it was my ego. It's unbelievably big, and you can have that ego, but you got to know where to have it. You can't have it on the streets. You can't have it with people, and you can't put that. It's one of those things you can't throw it around. You can have ego. You can be greedy, but in certain stuff in life, if I'm grappling, I'm a greedy guy. That's all I want. I want you. Come here. I want to take your arm. I want to take your neck. I want to take me. That's it. That's greed. In the right way to use.
Right.
And with that depression and ego, I lose. It was everything for me. I didn't give a shit about money. I have to be able to look in people's eyes. And it kills me when, you lose a fight. I don't know how to say it, man. I mean, if you fight and if you reach a certain level and everybody, oh, you're so great. Oh, you're so this. Throughout years, just, kind of like, petting you and pitying you and saying, you're so great. And, it's like God forbid, it's like a tumor that grows in your head. And, before you know it, you got a really big fucking head and Jack in the Box got nothing on you. And with that being said, bro, you gotta realize, it's just part of the game. Pick and choose your battles. But if you lose, like I said, I was young. I was very young when I fought George, and so was George. We were young, and it was a depression coming from respect. I always thought I lost respect. I can't believe I lost. Oh my God, no. I'm supposed to be, because I was like 11-0, and then they fucked me around with Sean Sherk fight the first time I fought him. It broke my record up. I just didn't like it, but. To answer your question, man, it was really, I didn't really have too much of the depression stuff after a fight. If I lost a fight, because I didn't lose too many fights in the UFC. There's a few fights that I lost. But even at those times, like Diego fight, that one stung because I knew I had won that one. St. Pierre fight, I knew I lost by a decision, a majority decision. I knew I lost. And that's why, it hurt me. But I've never been a sour sport. Never. But, it hurt in a different way. When you lose and you've won and you put it all and they screwed you, that is like frustrating. You don't know what to feel. Mm-hmm. Mad, angry, everything is there. But when you did everything you did, but you lost and the guy really beat you, that you accept that very easily. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you kind of figure, all right, if I just maybe change this up or change that up, and I might not let that happen, but when you've won a fight and the judges come back with a decision that isn't favorable to you, that's a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah.
That's a bitter pill to swallow.
You have to understand, though, guys, when you fight, man, most of the time, 80% of the time, if you won or lost the fight. Like, I don't know, man, I fought, when I fought Chris Lytle, 99% I knew I won the fight. When I fought Nick Diaz, 75% I knew I won the fight, But then again, I always knew there's never been a time. It was only the Dirty Sanchez fight that I thought I had won. Yeah. I had done enough to, get that. win the first 2 rounds. Dude, you guys don't even know what happened in the fight. Nobody knows, and because I never really talk about it. But even Dana, Dana knew I could have walked out of that fight, man, with my head held up high right off the bat. Diego punched me right in my eyeball. What happened was I thought it was a thumb, and as weird Diego is, he sees me, goes, Karo, it was not a thumb. He'll see me randomly. He won't say hi or a or some kind of icebreaker. No, he'll just see him like it was a punch, Karo. I'm like, what? Like random. I said, okay. I know, no, you're not right, but you're good. But what happened, dude? My orbitals were fractured. I almost cried off the pain in my face. Hang on one second. I almost cried, man. I remember my entire head went really hot, and my left eye went pitch black. Like I thought I lost my sight.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I was like, my God, what do I do? And that's when I fell down. He takes my back. I don't even feel him behind me. I'm just like trying to think about if I should fight or not. Did I lose my sight? And I remember McCarthy was saying, Karo, do you want out? I didn't answer. I didn't say nothing. He goes, Karo, do you want out? Again, I don't say shit. I don't say nothing. I'm like, I'm like blind and my head's throbbing. And he said, I'm going to ask you one more time. If you don't respond back, I'm going to stop the fight. He said, do you want out? And, fighters live by 2 words, man. I said, fuck it. And I stood up, took him off my back, slammed him, and turned him into a top 3 fight in MMA history.
Yeah.
So Dana knows, bro, you guys have to understand, man. My contact was, I got my contact out of my eye 3 days later.
Oh,
I didn't even know if it was up there.
Oh,
my left was, my orbitals were fractured. The impact was so freaking hard. Dude, you kick somebody's finger in your eye, you're like, oh my God, I'm stopped. Like, imagine getting punched in that fucking eye, that thing you call an eye, where you look at stuff. You have to see. And it goes pitch black.
Holy cow.
Wow. And to deal with that during the fight
I can't even see anything, man. Huh?
To deal with that during the fight is and maintain your composure.
Yeah, dude,
must be almost impossible.
That's right off the bat. First 10 seconds of the fight. That's what happened.
Oh,
and then 3rd round, what's his name? Tito and Randy Couture were cornering me. Can you imagine? I had an all-star cast. I had Tito and Randy cornering me, and fuck, Tito, dude. He goes, he said something. I forgot to put my mouthpiece in. My veneer pops out of my mouth. That's 1. 2, his advice. He only said one thing in that whole thing that I should have listened to him, and I didn't. I was starting to blow my nose. He goes, don't blow your nose. And then, poof, my eyes went, poof. That's it. It was closed up. Shut up.
Oh, man.
Because I was supposed to, you're supposed to bring it out and then spit it out. You're not supposed to go, like, you're sick. Mm-hmm. And when I started blowing it was like, no. And then my eyes were already too shut. That's what kind of messed up my eyes and stuff.
It's like Cerrone and Ferguson.
Anyway, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Cerrone and Ferguson, what happened there. So, you know what kind of surprised me was when you fought Nick Diaz, there's a lot of energy with you and your cornermen. There's like, you guys like to fight. There's no doubt about that. And then whether it's in the ring, outside the ring, at a family party, you guys like to get down.
How do you know about that?
It was explained to me that it's Armenian thing, and I wouldn't understand that it's generational and it gets handed down. I don't know how true that is. We talked about white trash earlier. I'll vouch for that.
Hey man, there's trash in everything, brother. There's white trash in Armenians too. So man,
there's passion with fighting.
Oh, yeah.
So when you fought Nick Diaz, I thought for sure, I'm like, there's going to be fights in the locker room, coming out. They're barely going to get the fighters into the cage.
Keep on saying that. I want to hear this.
I honestly thought that you guys were going to brawl before you even got to the ring.
Mm-hmm. I do remember that.
Nick, right?
Yeah, when you fought Nick.
Yeah.
Well, surprisingly, Nick Diaz, I'll tell you what happened. First and foremost, before I even start talking about the Diaz's, because you guys know my history with the Diaz bros. Nick I love Nick. I love him, and I like Nate. I'm super cool with him, super cool. And with Nick, I'm walking in the UFC. I got there, and I see Nick Diaz walking. He sees me. He turns around and just takes off on the opposite side. Not that he saw me. No. He just saw me, and then he turned around and went back to the camp, I guess, for whatever reason. That was my friend. I was like, well, that was weird. And then, have you ever seen Nick Diaz shake somebody's hand before the fight and the weigh-ins?
No.
Have you ever
never.
The only hands he shakes is when he flips them off. That's the hand he shakes.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Diaz shook my hand before the fight on the weigh-ins. Nick Diaz, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He came and took a picture with me after the fight. That means Nick Diaz had respect for me. And if he had respect for you in that kind of way, I guess it played a role with him. Because, listen, dude, you don't have to listen to me. You can go, and it's all facts. I'll never forget Joe Rogan saying he was super kind of upset and frustrated with Nick on the pre-fight interview when Nick was coming out. He was like, I tell you the truth, it's a bad matchup for me. Whatever. I'm just, training and, that's what he says. And I'm like, what? Dude, are you serious?
Right.
That's what Nick was saying before he walked out the fight.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't even look at it. I'm just thinking about going there and fighting, performing, and doing what I got to do. But then when you hear this stuff, I remember Mike Goldberg turning around and looking at Rogan, and Rogan was just nodding his head like, I can't believe he's saying this. You don't say that. And so with that being said, man, I had no animosity with Nick. Nick was at my fight with Tony Carter. I took the belt, 30 psychopathic Armenians, so many psychopaths in there. We were all walking out, and Nick shook my hand and said, congratulations. I said, thank you, Nick. And I just walked off. And, it's very non-Nick Diaz-like.
Yeah, it don't sound like you're talking about
that too.
Yeah.
Is it just a respect
It don't
thing?
sound like you're talking about any Diaz brother right now, but go ahead.
And this is pre-legalization of marijuana. I mean, he wasn't as mellow, possibly.
Yeah. So, oh man, I remember that fight. It was good. It was a tough fight, but fuck, man. The worst part was that I had just broken up with this chick I was seeing at the time. Man, it was sprung. It was horrible.
They'll do that to you, man.
Huh?
They'll do that to you, man. Sometimes you think you'd rather lose a fight than a girl.
Yeah, that was the first and last time. I let it go get that close, but no, it's all good, man. I just remember the week of the fight when I got there, I didn't give a crap about the fight. I was like, whatever, Nick, I'll beat him, whatever. I was just like, whatever, because at the end of the day, when I fought these guys, I knew that conditioning-wise, I don't care what happens, I am there to a certain point, and I'll drag everybody down there with me. But I would look at all my opponents, and eventually I was like, if I can't beat them by technique, I can overpower this guy. I can overpower that guy. I don't look like much. I don't understand, guys. I don't look like a fighter at all. I look like a cell phone salesman and some shit like that. But at the same time, a lot of people, and I don't blame anybody. I don't, especially when I'm not really training, and I don't look like a fighter, bro. I really don't. But people know what to look for when they want to see if you fight or not. Quick 10-second story. I was in Australia doing 5 seminars. I go out with the club owner, huge club IV, whatever. And for some reason, I lose the guy. I end up going all the way around from the back to the front of the club to get in. There's like 4 bouncers. These guys, dude, they weren't even human. They look like refrigerators, walking refrigerators. And I'm like, all right. And I try to go in, like, oh, what are you doing, man? Who are you, man? You cover your sleeves up, the guy put tattoos on. I was like, what? I'm like, no. I'm friends with the owner. And there was a guy, another bouncer on the right, staring at me, like, in a different way. And he said, bro, do you fight? I said, yeah. My name is Karo, and I'm doing, and they're like, oh my God. They're like, these lions became pussycats all of a sudden, dude. They carried me upstairs. It was like, no, it looks like you. It's just, we were just like, what would you be doing in Australia?
Yeah.
I was like, well, yeah, I'm teaching. What do you say? And it was kind of funny, man. Like I said, to come back to the story, I don't look like much anything, man. But, physically, I was always able to somewhat overpower most of the guys.
So what are you doing now? Workout? Are you still working out? Are you in the gym? Or
what are you doing now, fucker? Well, tomorrow I'm leaving for Canada, actually. I'm going to Vancouver. I'm doing a special seminar. I've done a lot of seminars, but this one's a little bit different, man. A lot of fighters even turn it down because it's a little bit... Number one forensic scientist and his partner, they're big time guys in Canada, Vancouver, Canada, and they need, basically, you guys heard of it, obviously, mental asylums, correct? Mental asylums,
sure.
And all that stuff. Well, people that work at this big mental asylum, security, nurse, whatever, male nurse, big dudes, whatever. These people work there and they're big and strong for a certain reason. I have to be able to teach these guys how to, because you have, mentally ill person going crazy. They're super strong running at you. They want me to teach them how to restrain this mentally ill person without hurting them.
And
you understand?
No chokes. Yeah,
So
I know they frown on chokes now too in regards to their profession. Yeah, you guys stay away from the neck.
No, not even choke. I mean, I'll show them whatever I can, including a choke. Hey, if this guy's going crazy, put him out. But not even a choke. To a certain point where you can put them, lock them, boom, 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 put them on their stomach, put them on their butt, whatever, to restrain them and have not hurt them at the same time. That's it. Restrain and not hurt. I got to go out and do this, man.
That's good. So you just teach seminars now? I mean, do you plan on opening up a gym?
Yeah, I plan on go. I've been, I should have had the gym when I was 20, but I didn't want to just because I thought I was getting too much of a business. I still wanted to compete and fight, and that's why I didn't open up. But I should have because it's always stable income from the side. If you always have your gym, you can always go train. Because you need that stuff. You need something somewhat stable on the side, and I'm trying to open up a school now. By the end of the year, I want to get a contract or have a school up. I want to get back, actually, man. I've said this stuff a couple of times before, but, after my father, I don't know. I don't want to get too sentimental with talk. I don't want to get too deep, but after my father, man, like something really changes. Like in the beginning, it was frustration. It was anger. Like, why, how, it was just clueless. Like, how did this happen? 6 months, it fucking took the man. 58 years. It didn't look right. It didn't feel right. Yeah, obviously, everything was horrible about it. And it took something away from me too, man, because I've always had my father next to me. Not exactly there with the fights. There's many fights my father hasn't been there, but at the same time, he's always been there for me. And it was kind of like my backbone, And since I lost my dad, man, I don't know, it's a mental thing. It threw me on the side. I felt alone, abandoned. I don't know. It really kicked my ass. But right now, I've been I want to get back. I'll be 37, August 28th this year. I'm still 36. And I got not too much mileage on me. I don't have any serious injuries. It was one injury, torn hamstring, which fucked up my life in so many ways. But that's the only damage I've had in my body as far as, he's old. No. People have to also understand this, man. I love the fans. I always respect them. Hate me or love me, it doesn't matter. Still, I always try to stay humble, whatever I can. I know it doesn't really go well with my name. Karo, you're not humble, you're a dick. No, I'm not. I really am when it comes down to this shit. But, with that being said, I really want to get back, man. And I got 3 solid years to do what I should have done back then. I never lived up to my potential. I never trained to my potential. I don't know. I underachieved, and some people that were next to me.
I think you're being a little hard on yourself.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah,
and it's because it's you. Like if from a third person point of view, kind of looking at it, I think you're being a little. And I get what you're saying. Like you could always run one more lap. You could always do one more push up.
Yeah.
But if you look at your resume of guys you fought, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that wasn't in the top 10 at any point, that stood across from you.
Yeah, and you know what, man? Like, even being in the welterweight division during that era, it was tough, man. I mean, you had
stacked division in the UFC,
and not only that, you had George St. Pierre with the belt. You know what I mean?
And Matt Hughes,
right behind him. Yeah. So it was very tough.
Matt Serra.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, it was competitive, guys.
Super
and
competitive.
You know what, man? Let me tell you this. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
I'm really sorry. But I remember when people say, hey, man, I'm watching the UFC, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, please do not tell me what I think about the UFC today. Not specifically the UFC, but whole MMA game. Back 10, that's how I tell people. I'm like, do you know how hard it was back then to get a fight with the UFC? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, it's like 6 events a year.
Lucky. You were lucky if you got an undercard fight. God knows you had to be 10-time world champion and God knows what martial arts for them to give you a shot.
I know.
There was 5 UFCs in the year, not 30,000.
Yeah.
There was 5. It meant something. Everybody was there.
I agree.
Dude,
Carl, I agree with you 100%.
And for them to even call you, to consider calling you at that point was like you had to have been an all-star on an all-star team just to get the phone call.
Yeah.
Let alone main event it.
Yeah. It's hard. You look at a card right now, 75% of the names you might not even know, man. I mean, I
don't know. 90% of the guys I don't know who's fighting anymore. I don't.
Yeah, I just like nod my head. Oh yeah. Oh, you fought. Oh, what? Oh yeah. I just kind of fake my way through it.
But the game's changed, man. It's changed a lot, man. I miss the days when it used to be one good UFC event a month, and then a fight night here or there, and that's it. And then the Ultimate Fighter when it was good. Those were the best days, in my opinion.
It was the best. I missed 2005, 6, 7, 8,
dude,
all the way up to 9.
Those were the golden. That was the golden era, in my opinion. I'll tell you when it stopped, Carl. Right when Reebok got in. Up until that point, the UFC has seen its better days. I should say
they got a good product.
They do. But it was
special.
It was different then, man. You know what I mean? It was less saturated. I'll tell you that. It was a lot less saturated. There's something about every month. Hey, who's the big event this month? Who's the big event this month? Who's the big event next month? You know what I mean? Now it's like who's the fight this week?
So Carl, if you had
to the same weekend.
If you had to take one thing away from your career, if you could subtract one thing, what would it be?
From my career?
Like one fight. If one fight or one incident.
Or even a do-over.
Or do-over.
Come on, you guys. You're baiting me into something that I already know what you guys want me to say. I'll come out and I'll say it. I know. I regret the day. I rue the day. The day I freaking tore my hamstring and a doctor prescribed me pain medications. That was the worst day of my life. But one of the worst. You know what? Even if that was one of the worst times, I never even thought twice about what the hell they gave me. I didn't even go inside the pharmacy and get the medication. I had one of my friends go in, pick it up, come back, give me a bag, and says, "Oh, this is your medication." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." And I go home and I throw it. I'm like, "Mom, this is some pill store. Put it somewhere else. I don't know where it is." Because I walked like that. I healed myself. Didn't even think twice about what pills. I was 25, 23, 23 years old. I hadn't taken 23 pills in my life. You know what the irony is, man? When I was a kid, I always had a phobia of swallowing medication, pills. I always thought it was going to I was always going to choke on it. I couldn't swallow. Like I would try to swallow, and then it would just get stuck on my throat, and I would die. So my mom had to pick up a tablespoon, put the medication, put the pill inside, put water in it, with her pinky kind of like dissolve it, make me drink it.
Yeah.
And come one day, I'm popping 10 at once if I want to.
Yeah,
it's just
good.
It was. I never knew anything, man. When my life, I was Mr. This, all the way to a point. Yeah, that's a drug. I don't even know what pot was. I was like, fuck, a couple of times. I don't like it. I don't like alcohol. Never really liked it. I've drank a few times in my life. Never liked it. I never did anything really. I just trained. I fought. I ate. I banged. And that's all I did. Mm-hmm. That was my life. I was always around that crazy shit, but I always knew what was right and what was wrong. I got caught off guard, man. I was repping God. I was repping the right, and the fucking asshole evil came in and popped me. Trust me, man. You know, it might go over your heads. You might be like, what's he talking about with this? But trust me, man, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Because if there's people out there that have been through shit like that, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And it is the biggest fight of your life. And I've beaten that, thank God. So you think a man is going to fucking scare me? I've been in cages since I was 14, and I fought a big fucking fight with my life in the past 5.5, 6 years. So me coming back right now, man, I don't think anybody's going to say, oh, well, Karo, you're coming back. Well, what happened? Well, you have to understand, all of a sudden I didn't. You know what? That Bjorn guy. Remember, you guys know Bjorn? He was Remy.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like him, and I don't know who didn't like him, whatever, he was super cool to me. He was a nice guy to me. He said he did an interview about me when I was fighting on Bellator. He said, what you have to understand, and I was like, wow. You know, the guy, I never told him this, and I never told anybody to it, but he just came out and said it. He said, you have to understand, Karo this kid, it's not like he's all of a sudden he sucks. Oh, he's old. Oh, he's hurt. No. There was none of that stuff. It was just, he just veered off. Just took a different path for a second. And you know what? I'm going to come back and I'm going to do good. You know why? I want to do because I can.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I did what I did. Good. I wanted it. Hey, it's not good. I hurt a lot of close people next to me. But meaning like, it was a self-destruction I did to myself. And now I'm going to come back just because I can come back and kick fucking ass. You know?
Where are you going to train at?
Aggression towards it because I got so much packed up inside me, man. You know, I got to let it loose eventually, but not on the interview. In a cage, though.
Wait, so where are you going to train at? Where are you going to kick your training camp off at?
There's in Austria a man named Andre Benke. Andre Benke is he's one of the coaches. He was one of the coaches, American Top Team. He was Thiago Alves' one of his coaches.
Okay.
One nicest guy ever. He always such a great man. He did judo also, and man, when I would get up to do a little bit of warm up before my fight, the American Top Team would just get off the mat and just peel back, and I would just be in the middle. And I'm just saying this because they had a lot of respect and I had tremendous respect for them, especially Diaz and Ben. They really love the traditional stuff, and he always used to. He always liked me. Kind of like Kevin Randleman, God rest his soul. Never met him. I never knew him. But I see him one day at the Mandalay Bay, and he just put his hand and goes, I love you. I'm like, oh, love you too. But I never met him. So this guy is one of the best trainers, and he has been trying. He's always contacting me for the last 3-4 years. He's telling me, everything is paid for. Come out. You got to train. Karo,
do it.
You got to do this again. This is who you are. You got to get back and all this stuff.
That's good.
It's really hard, man.
That's what you need.
I haven't fought for a long time. I haven't been around in a long time. And this was my bread and butter. I fought. I taught. I did privates. I did this. Because once you go up there in the mainstream, you win a fight. You are somewhat of a marketable motherfucker. They're going to market your ass. You have to be how do I say it? Very simple. You have to be an investment for somebody for even to think about giving you anything.
Sure.
Today, that's life. You can't even talk to nobody unless you have something to offer, and they won't even listen to you unless you have something to offer themselves. It's fucked up. But it's the life. You got to figure it out. Make the best out of it, man.
Yeah. So, Carl, we do appreciate your time with us. You're already giving us an hour, so we're going to wrap this up. One last question before we let you go. You said you want to come back. What weight class are you thinking about coming back at? Heavyweight, super heavyweight, lightweight?
You've got 265. Where you at, Karo?
Yes, that's it. I heard that. Is that true?
Where you going to come at? Are you going to about 85, or where do you think? What's your targeted goal?
65. I heard there was a 65.
You think 170?
I heard they were going to come up with a new 165-pound.
They should.
They should.
They absolutely should. They should just do 10-pound increments.
You guys are laughing.
Well, where are you at right now? Where are you at right now, weight wise?
Oh, 182. On a good day, 87.
That's nothing.
It'll vary from 178 to 188.
So you never really had a hard cut anyway. Huh? You never had a hard cut anyway.
What are you talking about, bro?
For weight, you never really had to cut a lot of weight then.
No. I've had a hard time cutting weight. Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. When I fought, no, I always had a hard time. Are you kidding me?
Really?
I lost 17 pounds in a day and a half when I fought GSP.
Oh, my God.
Yes. I passed out. I remember I fought Nick Thompson. Dude, Nick Thompson, when I fought, I was huge in that fight, and I was even bigger when I fought Drew Fickett. I cut with the Fickett fight. I remember I was 188 4 hours after the weigh-ins.
Oh, my God.
188, yeah. So listen, as much as I don't look strong and all that stuff, but I was very thick, very dense, and it was heavy, man. Trust me. I was, I had that density, muscle density that, like you said, when I'm in front of George St. Pierre and, we're doing the stare down and stuff. There's only one picture in his book, and I couldn't believe it was just me and him. And the best part was I was trying to impress my current fiance back then. I was like, oh, yeah, this is the guy I fought. And then thank God that was the only picture in there. I was like, yes. In my head, though. But with that being said, as his frame is huge, But like I said, his frame, I had more stuff. Look at Max Serra. He's short, but he's stocky. He's stuffed. You feel me?
So,
hello?
Yeah, no, we're here. So what, cutting weight was a little bit of an issue then, right?
Because you're not too far off your targeted mark right now.
I mean, right now, if you're walking around at 180-something, I mean, that's 10 pounds.
Right
there. 170, or you think you try to look for that 165 catch weight fight?
No. People want me to go down, bro. You guys want me to go up? No. I'm not there. Basically, I'll tell you what. If this 165 thing is true, I'm super excited. I can make 65 absolutely. And, dude, are you kidding me? It'll be perfect. I don't know, man. I would always start at 55ers. I was like, lightweight. I don't know, man. Did they even get respect? Today they got 125ers. They got birds. They got birds flying in the UFC. Dude.
That's
so
true.
70, I'll stick to 70 or 65.
Okay.
To answer your question, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'll respect that. Well,
Karo, thanks so much, man. We appreciate your time, man. We really do.
Yeah, this was a fun interview, man. And Carl, man, I'd probably like to have you on one more time again, in the future. Hopefully, after your next fight, after your next victory, and then we could talk a little bit more about the road that is Karo Parisyan.
Oh yeah. I promise you we will. Just let me get on that rebound and put my leg on that road again, so I can have something to talk about and something to give.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. Be good, Karo.
Carl, thanks again, man. Take care, all right?
Guys,
good.
It's been an honor. Thank you. Bye.
Well, there you have it. Karo the Heat Parisyan.
Hey, those early days in Belleville, Illinois, what I now recall is like the state at the time was like at an influx in regards to rules. So every event there was like a new thing that you had to abide by. There was one 15-minute round, then it was 2 rounds with the potential, you couldn't do 3 rounds, and then it was you had to have a 3-minute overtime.
Right.
And then it was, it's Judo rules right now with catches, and it was a strange time in MMA in terms of like growth on the local level.
Yeah. Didn't look like it had direction at the time.
And to kind of go down memory lane with somebody that was me, a viewer of it, and somebody that participated in it, it was pretty special, man.
Yeah, it was cool talking with Karo. He was one of my favorite fighters during that era.
How could he not be?
No, it's Karo, man. I mean, what he was doing in the UFC during that time, no one else was doing. And actually, the only other person in the world that was doing what he was doing and finding success was Fedor.
Well, he said it, not me. American Judo was kind of a joke at the time. And, I grew up boxing. And anytime somebody brought up kickboxing or Muay Thai or even Judo, generally it was people that were afraid to box. Sure. And I'm just speaking from my neighborhood and my experiences. So obviously they could be greatly different. When a guy like Karo came along and how advanced he was at Judo and watching him implement, what it is he knew in a fight, it was like magic was happening.
Yeah.
And, I was always excited to see him. I was a big fan. And, ideally, I would have liked to sit down with him in person. And
Oh, yeah.
I think as the show grows, guys like Karo, we're going to have in front of us. And instead of an hour interview, it'll be an hour and a half, 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And, we got some big stuff coming up in September as well. And this Sunday.
Yeah.
This Sunday, we're going to have Arnold Adams in.
Yeah, that's the next big thing on the docket. Yeah, but going back to Karo, terrific guy. Listening
he
to
hit a hard road.
He hit a road bump in his career and life that sort of derailed him a little bit.
I think when we sit down with him, we're going to go in depth with that.
Yeah,
and that's certainly something that I would like to do.
But he's also overcome it as well.
And it's not something you touch on the phone.
Yeah.
That's something you do in person.
Yeah.
Because that's when you talk about personal things of that nature,
yeah.
Struggling with addiction.
Yeah.
That's a very personal thing.
Yeah. No,
and
I get it and I respect it.
It would be a dick move on our end to kind of go down that road. We got a lot out of him.
A lot of good stuff.
And we addressed the addiction
And Mike,
issue.
there was points in the conversation where I couldn't even have slapped the smile off of your face. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's giddy.
You know where the gold is.
Yeah.
You just got to go and get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he definitely helped us get down that road. I mean, real great personality too, and you seen it, and I can relate to him a little bit with his old man, I mean,
having had that issue as well.
I get it, man. So
Dude, what kind of a father puts a 14-year-old in a cage in a country of Mexico?
In Mexico, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a special guy, man.
Yeah.
That's a guy that wants to test his kids. That's...
I think back to, man, like what would have the world been like if Karo wouldn't have got injured with that hamstring, and he would have, and he would have had Matt Hughes next.
At some point, he would have had the UFC gold around his waist.
I'm not going to argue that.
You can't.
I'm not.
And I'm not saying against Matt Hughes, but eventually it would have happened.
Yeah, I mean,
he was too young.
Yeah. No fear in him too. You know what I mean?
20 years old making a UFC debut.
Yeah, and I'm glad he brought up the Armenian heritage a little bit too. I mean, that was cool. That I was gonna mention too during the interview. There's one rule about pissing off an Armenian.
Well, it's kind of like a blood feud. 300 years ago, Jebediah Gorosky said.
There's one rule about pissing off an Armenian. Don't
do it. Yeah. Oh no, 100%.
And if you do, you better sleep with your eye open.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Your children's
lives.
And their children's lives. And their
but it's cool that he was able to poke fun at that too, man. So I would like to eventually follow up this interview with another one in person. Whether it's us going out to California or someone else doing it for us.
I see that happening. Not soon, but it's definitely going to happen.
And I also want to see him come back. I really do. I mean, whether it's under the UFC banner or Bellator, raised. I want to see his hand get raised one more time. He deserves it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks. Like, share, subscribe. They have D-Rank independent commentary. So anything you guys can do to help spread the word on this podcast, it's greatly appreciated.
Hit like, subscribe, share, tell your friends.